Look, a man walks up to a ship captain in the middle of a blinding Atlantic fog and tells him the fog will be gone in 5 minutes. No weather report, no radar, no scientific basis whatsoever. Just a quiet, absolute certainty. And then it happened. This is not a legend. This is a documented historical account, and it will change how you pray. George Müller was in his 80s when he boarded that ship. Behind him were decades of impossible answered prayers, millions of dollars received without a single donation letter, nearly 18,000 orphans fed by faith alone. He was not a young man trying to prove something. He was an old man who had already seen enough to be completely unafraid. He had an engagement in Quebec, Canada, a speaking commitment he had made and intended to keep. But somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic, the ship slowed, then stopped. A fog had rolled in so thick and so dense that the captain could not safely navigate forward, and time was running out. But that is not the part that should stop you. The part that should stop you is what Müller did next. He did not panic. He did not complain. He did not start working the phones or pulling strings with powerful people. He did what he had done every single day for 57 years. He prayed. As Jesus said in Matthew 7:7, "Ask, and it will be given to you." Müller had simply decided to take that literally. He went to find the captain, and what happened in that conversation is one of the most quietly extraordinary exchanges in all of Christian biography. Not because of what God did, but because of what Müller said before God did anything at all. "Captain," Müller said, "I have come to tell you that I must be in Quebec by Saturday afternoon." The captain looked at him the way you look at someone who clearly does not understand the situation. "That is impossible," he said. The fog was impenetrable. Navigation was dangerous. No reasonable man would make such a demand.
But Müller did not flinch. "Very well," he replied. "If your ship cannot take me, God will find some other means. I have never broken an engagement in 57 years. Think about what he just said. 57 years. Not a single broken commitment. Because in 57 years, not once had God failed to come through. That kind of confidence is not born in a moment. It is built in 1,000 quiet mornings with an open Bible." The captain pressed him. "Do you know how dense this fog is?" he asked. And here is the line that has echoed through church history ever since. Müller looked at him and said, "No, my eye is not on the density of the fog. My eye is on the living God who controls every circumstance of my life." Have you ever been able to say that? Have you ever wanted to? Because most of us, if we are honest, keep our eye on the fog. We stare at the diagnosis. We calculate the debt. We measure the distance between where we are and where we need to be. And the fog feels so real, so thick, so permanent, that God begins to feel far away. Müller had the same fog in front of him. He simply chose a different place to look. They walked together to the chart room, and Müller did something so simple it almost seems too small for the moment. He prayed. "O Lord," he said, "if it is consistent with thy will, please remove this fog in 5 minutes. You know the engagement you made for me in Quebec on Saturday. I believe it is your will." That was it. No long, elaborate petition, no desperate pleading, no bargaining. Just a man talking to a father he had known for more than half a century. Specific, calm, and completely certain. When he finished,
The captain bowed his head to pray, and Müller reached out and gently touched him on the shoulder. First, he said, you do not believe he will answer. And second, I believe he already has, so there is no need. Then he looked at the captain steadily and said, get up and open the door.
You will find the fog gone. The captain stood. He walked to the door. He opened it. The fog was gone. Not thinning, not lifting slowly. Gone. Completely. And Müller caught his ship to Quebec. He kept his engagement. On Saturday, exactly as he said he would. Because he knew, not hoped, not wished. He knew the God he was talking to. And before we keep going, a quick word. These videos exist because people watch them, share them, and partner with us to keep them going. If this channel has been part of your walk with God, consider becoming a member. You keep this content free for someone in the world tonight who needs it and cannot afford anything else. We don't take that lightly. Thank you to our members already partnering with us. You are in every video. What do you do with a story like this? You could dismiss it. You could call it coincidence. Weather changes, fogs lift, timing happens. But Müller did not stumble into that answer. He walked toward it. He named the time. He named the place. He named the outcome. And then he told the captain to open the door before he could see a single thing had changed. That is the thing about Müller's faith that is so uncomfortable for the rest of us. It was not passive. It was not the quiet, resigned kind of faith that says whatever God wills, and then does nothing. It was active, expectant, specific. He prayed like a man who believed the God on the other side of that prayer was actually listening, because he always is. James 5:16 says, "The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective." Müller did not read that verse as inspiration. He read it as instruction, and he built his entire life around it. 50,000 recorded answers to prayer across his lifetime, each one written down, each one a stone of remembrance that God had been faithful again. So here is the question that matters. Not whether you believe the fog lifted, but why your prayers do not feel like Müller's prayers. Why does prayer so often feel like sending a message into silence rather than walking into a room where someone is already waiting? The answer, most of the time, is relationship. Müller spent hours in Scripture every single day, not to find answers, to find God. The answers came because the relationship was real. He once wrote, "The beginning of anxiety is the end of faith, and the beginning of true faith is the end of anxiety." He was not immune to pressure. He was not above fear. He had simply practiced, for decades, the discipline of bringing every fear to God before it had a chance to grow roots. What fog in your life have you been staring at instead of bringing to God? The story of Müller and the fog is not just about a fog. It is about where your eye goes when the way forward disappears. It is a mirror. And if you look honestly into it, you will see that most of your suffering is not the fog itself. It is the staring. Fix your eye on the living God, who controls every circumstance. That is not a cliché. For Müller, it was a daily, proven, documented reality. Psalm 34 verse 4 says, "I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears." Not some of them, all of them. That is your God. The same one who cleared the Atlantic for an old man with a speaking engagement. He has not changed. He has not grown tired. And he is not ignoring you. What is the fog in front of you right now? What is the thing that feels so dense, so impossible, so immovable that you have quietly stopped expecting God to move it? Name it. Bring it to him, specifically like Müller did. Not with a vague, if it be your will, that secretly means, I don't really think you will. Bring it with the kind of faith that is already reaching for the door handle. You do not need Müller's decades to pray like Müller. You need his decision. The decision to move your eye off the fog, onto God. If this story strengthened your faith today, share it with one person who is in the middle of their own fog right now. They may need it more than you know. Subscribe if you are not already, because next week we are going deeper into a story from Scripture that most people read too fast to feel, and I think it will stay with you. Next time, there is a prayer in the Bible so bold, so specific, so almost unreasonable that most teachers skip right past it. But when you see what God did in response, you will never pray a small prayer again. That one is coming soon. Do not miss it. Tell me in the comments, are you more like Müller in this season, keeping your eye on God? Or more like the captain, needing to see the fog lift before you believe? Be honest. No wrong answers. I read every comment.